So tell me about this accent-related thing.
Accent related thing that so I told you that I'm really into politics. At the moment, I'm following something very niche, which is the Scottish leadership election. So right now, Scotland in the UK is having a leadership election in the party that runs the country, and there's three candidates, and one of them, Ash Reagan, has actually spent a lot of her time in cities in southern England, and you can hear that in her accent. Now, she's running to be the leader of the Scottish National Party, and she's clearly got advice throughout the different debates that she's done that she needs to Scottish-size her accent because
Scottish side.
I listened to the different debates and she progressively went more Scottish as I kept listening to it. And the last one on Monday, you could hear that for some things she was trying to be incredibly like almost over the top Scottish, but then she was getting passionate and then she dropped back into how she would usually speak at home. And that was a really interesting thing to observe. So I observed that this week while doing the accent exercises that you gave me, which was fun, and they got gradually easier. So I think they're working.
That's fantastic. And the thing about passion, you slip into your passion and you drop the filter, right? That's why it's the last thing to change, because that's the part of you that doesn't have most of us, we have
The
that
filter.
free-flowing thought. There's no filter. But this flap tees on Scottish, the way you said that was really nice. Scottish.
Aw.
Yeah. Scottish size it. She's trying to Scottish size it. I think you said that's funny.
Scottish or size it.
That shows how important it is that people kind of sound like the in group, and they're trying to connect with, right? So they have that buy-in. That makes sense. That is a very niche political thing to follow.
It's because only party members get to vote, and it's the Scottish Independence Party, so it's even more important.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was fairly obvious that she was trying to do that.
She probably has a coach.
she's still projected to be last in the election and be the king or queen maker because it's going to go to one of the other two. But yeah, wow. There was lots of drama throughout that week.
That's very cool. I guess having lived in the UK, you're invested and interested in what's going on in the politics there.
Somewhat. It's. I'm kind of disappointed with the politics in the UK now. It used to be a lot more. Like when I first moved there, I really liked the politics because it seemed like you could follow whatever party there was, and there wasn't really like a terrible one and like a really good one. And now it's progressively become like more American, where people just really focus on dividing people across like cultural or like trying to drive like wedge issues between people so that they get really angry at each other and then they don't actually get stuff done. So it's kind of disappointing the way it went.
I'm just like taking notes actually because I'm listening to what you're saying. Drive wedge issues. I could tell between the V and the W that you were going for the W, right? So like drive wedge issues. That's a tough one. Nice work on that. That sounded good. So trying to drive wedge issues.
Wedge issues.
Drive to wedge. So nice separation. Or I thought I heard a nice separation between the V and the W. And you said you could follow whatever party there was. So maybe you want to try that with, you could follow whatever party there was.
There was.
That TH, nice. Of course, like I said, you can't filter the speech yet. So it would be surprising if it was already showing up there. I'd be like, oh, someone is doing a really good job.
I noticed me doing it in one of the calls that I had at work this week. And then people started to talk about British people. And they were like, and then I started to say more things, and then because everyone was on camera, I was like, people were like, oh, okay.
Once you're tuned into it, it's kind of like you're seeing this whole world that you could never. It's like the Matrix, right? You're seeing this world you never saw before. It's kind of powerful, and people who don't know about it, It's like someone who's never gone snorkeling. Like you don't know what's going on in the ocean under there. There's all sorts of stuff happening, right?
Exactly.
Just looks like a big empty space, but no, there's all the fishes are going about their fishy business. And I know I used fishes grammatically incorrectly. I'm going to get you to repeat after me for some pairs to see how this thing is going.
Okay.
Actually, maybe I won't get you to repeat. Maybe I'll get you to do them without me, just to see, just to test. You know what I'm expecting? These minimal pairs.
Yeah, and I think that'll be good because otherwise I'll just copy whatever you're doing.
Which is good. That's how we start. But I want to see how you can do it on your own, knowing what you expect. And I'll say after you. So when I'm doing training, sometimes I say before the person so they repeat after me. And sometimes I say after the person so that you can hear like the echo of how it's supposed to sound afterwards so that you're not influenced beforehand. And then if you want to change what you've said, just repeat after me again. So let's say you go to say hurt, you say hurt, I say hurt, you say hurt after, and then we go to the next sound. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Did you have any pairs from your homework that you found difficult, that you were like, oh, that's a spicy one?
I need to look at it because
just
there was a couple.
And set it aside. Yeah. And when you go to practice again, just do the ones that you found difficult. So once it gets easier, don't do the easy stuff because that's like doing wall push-ups when you can do like floor push-ups. You know what I mean? I mean, both are helpful, but if you can do floor push-ups, brr.
So what I found most challenging is because I went through this R stuff, right? And the monosyllabic words. They still feel the most unnatural because I will go like word, work, worker. It's not like, it doesn't feel like I'm saying it, if that makes sense.
Those two ones are easier because it's just like the ending one, right? Like stronger versus like if you're just saying the word sir, are you used to saying sir?
Yeah, because the ending of it, because you then lead into the other word with the mushing together thing that we also talked about. Technical term.
Working with the R sound. Or connecting with the R sound sometimes. Connecting.
Yeah, but I think that's just, but I need to get used to my tongue being right at the back there and then going forward quickly. And what then sometimes happens is like it swings a bit and I get this weird like Italian-y sound.
Like it's a little bit like touching the roof of your mouth.
So if I try and incorporate it in a sentence, so I don't know, work was very difficult today. That was actually better than when I tried it during the week.
Yeah,
because I was working. Because you're watching. It's
like when you go to the mechanic, like, oh, it's not making the sound anymore.
I had this week, like my personal laptop is breaking. I'm calling you from my work laptop, and I take it to Apple, and they open it up, and they go, "That's fine. What's the problem?" And it keeps crashing, and I'm like, well, but it's working fine now.
They can't. It won't do.
Still getting it replaced. They agreed to replace it. So I won. Anyway.
So let's do one syllable ones then to start with, because that's where you need the most practice.
Do you want me to do the list?
Again, in front of me, feel free to, don't feel like embarrassed or anything to make new sounds in front of me, basically. It's safe.
Oh, I'm not embarrassed.
Okay, good stuff. I always have to just remind.
It's only good that we're not recording this.
Yep.
I'll just go down the list. Word third, earth, hours. See, hours is easy because there's a Z at the end.
Okay, that's good to know.
Udder, eater, herding, potter.
Nice.
That actually, like, that felt way easier than when I was doing it by myself. And I don't really know why.
Just having an audience. Have you heard the term doubling? Like sometimes just having someone else in the room helps you work because you're like, uh-oh, if I slack off, it'll be obvious to this other person. I like that one. That helps me for sure.
That's definitely true. I think when we last spoke, there was also Vancouver,
Nice. Yeah.
which was, and like I think impervious I found easier to do when I was practicing. Vancouver was still because it's VVV.
That's
So
right.
I was like halfway through the week, I started noticing that like tongue goes back, tongue goes forward, tongue goes back.
Yeah.
And I think you sent me this other sheet as well, where that goes through like typical mistakes that German speakers make, like judge and judge, and then and those things. And I went through them, and they were really interesting. I just did that as a bonus.
That's as a bonus. I love that. You're doing more work than requested. Good job. Means I can give you even more difficult homework.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so let me hear. Let me just get to this section I want to hear. This novel stimuli, not that novel. If you find me on the sheet, let me hear this one going down.
Clicking you. Oh, yeah. Okay.
So starting with this one, go down. So we're going to do the same, but same vowel.
Ert.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Okay. Ert, Kurt, hurt.
Good. Hurt. Don't forget your H with hurt. Hurt.
Hurt.
Nice.
All right. Yeah. Okay, I see.
That was just French haunting you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me hear them across now.
Hurt, heard.
Perfect.
Kurt, curd.
That's right.
Hurt, heard.
Nice. That's only one sound difference, right? Let me hear the R vowel now.
Heart, cart.
Good.
Heart. Hard, card, hard.
Nice.
Hard, hard. Wait, I don't know that word.
Hard.
Hard. What does it mean?
It's an animal. It's a name for a cougar or a puma.
Oh, right.
British word for a puma. I'm not really sure.
Okay.
I say puma.
Right. Puma.
So how is it compared to them? Heart, hard. Do you feel that here? Where do you feel it?
Heart. Yeah, it's that. There is something there. Heart.
Okay.
Hard. Yeah. There's something here.
So you're vibrating all the way to the end. That's the difference between them. So like on the first row, the first column, sorry, you're just right at the above the teeth. Heart.
Because you've got okay, because you've got hurt, hurt. There's nothing there. Then you've got heart, part, cart.
That's right. So that's the vibrating all the way to the end, which is a rule in German that you're not supposed to do. So this is like going against your kind of fundamental language rules that you learned as like a fetus, basically. So,
but then where I'm from, people have this really messy accent. Like everything's right at the back of the throat.
It's like regional, just like.
Oh yeah, it's
regional in the body, regional on the earth.
It's like Scottish times 6.
Okay, let me hear you with this third one. This is the rounded O, this or.
Sport? That as in sport?
Yeah.
Oh, I've never made that sound. Court.
Nice.
Court. I had no idea that I could do this. Wait, let me do it again. Sport. Okay. Court. Port.
Nice. And try just not releasing them, but just kind of clipping them, like sport.
Sport. All right.
You don't have to release it, right? If it's the end of the sentence, you can just say, I gotta go to court. You don't have to say court.
Port of Vancouver.
Yeah, there you go. Port. And if you want to connect it, port of with a port of or port of. Port of Vancouver with a D.
Oh yeah, Port of Vancouver sounds a lot more natural.
Because we're flapping the T even across the sentence, not just in words, we flap the T. So go today becomes go today. Go today, right? So now I'm just going to get you to repeat after me just for repetition's sake. Yep. Not that you can't do it on your own, but hurt, heard.
Hurt, heard.
Kurt, curd.
Kurt, curd.
Hurt, purred.
Hurt, purred.
Fantastic. Heart, hard.
Heart, hard.
Good. Cart, card.
Cart, card.
Part, pard.
Part, pard.
Nice. And now we'll try this last batch without releasing the T, just for more practice. Sport, spored.
Sport, sport, spored.
Nice. Court, cord.
Court, cord.
Good. And the last one on your own.
Port, cord.
Good. Did that feel port? You kind of clipping it here? Port?
Let me pay attention to it.
Yeah.
Port. Yeah. I see what you mean. Port, court. Yeah, it actually clips. It's like something flaps together.
Now we're going to do a 3-syllable word just to see if we can keep this clipping in the throat. Important.
Important.
That's it. Nicely done. So this nt sound that we do, like patent, important, that kind of thing. This like NT, because there's a T after the R and then an N after the T, we kind of take the T away, right? Important. We're not saying portent. Important. Now try a flap T with this word. Imported.
Imported.
You see how the T changes to a D after the R? So when it's going to an N after the T, like important, patent, Manhattan, we take away the T. But if it's after an R without an N, we turn it into a D. Imported. Imported. So you hear that difference? Important. Important. How do you feel?
I'm trying to work out how I'm going to remember that. But the concept makes sense. But I think it's in your sheet there. So I'm definitely I'm going to go through it this week. So I feel like it's going to become more natural.
It is. I have a whole bunch of worksheets and stuff for this sound. This it's called like the weird American T, the T that happens after N, the T that happens after R. And I'll send you some PDFs and worksheets that you can work on it more.
Okay.
But that was fantastic. So we went through those 1-syllable ones. I know it's harder to do 1-syllable because 2 syllables, you have like time to kind of show up and get there and then do the thing. 1 syllable is just like, okay, bye. It's like a moving vehicle, right? So, so now I think we should put them into sentences. This is what makes it even more difficult. And you can always go back to singular minimal pairs if the sentences are too much. It's like doing like this versus like a whole compounded exercise movement, right? Both are valuable. So now I just want you to say this sentence. Where did I put it?
There is one on the next page.
Here it is. So I just made these 2 ER sentences. This is just an example of a sentence you can make, but we can do more together. So
okay.
I'll say the whole thing at once. You won't be able to copy the whole thing at once. It's just an example. Okay. The workers came on the 1st and 3rd Thursday of September.
Do you want me to repeat?
Try it.
Okay. The workers came on the 1st and 3rd day. Okay, let me start again. This is not that hard. The workers came on the 1st and 3rd Thursday of September.
Lovely. And did you notice how you said 3rd Thursday? So you corrected by the time you got to Thursday. That's what we want. That's exactly what we want.
I noticed that.
Self-correction. Once you start doing the self-correction, it's like only a matter of time before it's showing up in your normal speech, unfiltered. So let's go through the line again. I put in a pause after all the R's. Okay. And don't worry about the other sounds, just the in this one, right? So we're going to go slowly. Workers.
Okay. The workers came on the 1st and 3rd Thursday of September.
Beautiful. That nice, thoughtful pause that you did gave enough time for everything. So that's what we're going to keep that in mind. Like the pause, it's like people queuing up for the bus. So you have to give everyone time to get on the bus before the bus leaves, basically. So this one, let's isolate the ors. I'm just going to put dots after them, and I think
Mhm.
that's adequate. The origin was on the 4th store in the north. This sentence doesn't really make any sense, but try it.
The origin was on the 4th store in the north.
Nice. So origin, we're saying with an or, think of how you might have heard this other times. You might have heard people say origin, right?
Mhm.
Like Americans. So more in Canada, we're more like the or, like how we say sorry, right?
Mhm.
So it's like that sorry. Think of Canadian sorry versus American sorry. Canadian
Yeah.
sorry, sorry. American sorry, sorry. Right? They say sorry like one of those like wrap
That-
dresses.
That's
So they also
actually
say origin. Yeah.
the O sound is like the easiest way for me to recognize if somebody is Canadian or American. And then there's like specific things that Torontonians say that makes me realize that they're from Toronto.
Torontonian. Did you hear you just use that R in Tor?
Mm.
Nice. So beautiful work on that. Torontonian.
Torontonians.
You can always trick yourself into doing those R's if you have like 2 syllables, right? If it's like Toron, it's like Toron.
Mhm.
So that's kind of, you can connect those R's back together. So keeping that sorry in mind, origin, sorry. What about a slice of orange? Orange.
Orange?
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Orange?
Orange.
Orange.
Nice. Have you heard the saying, nothing rhymes with orange?
No.
Not in English. It's true, but then there's a clip of Eminem, the rapper, saying, and he like manages to make orange rhyme with something.
Orange.
He's good. Actually, rap is like a good way to learn about English.
This is really weird because like this or thing that you're teaching me, this feels strangely familiar. With the R thing, I feel like that's really difficult and that's something that I've genuinely got to learn. Whereas the or thing, I'm like, I've heard this so many times, this is fine.
Yeah. It's that. Well, here's something that you might not have noticed. I wonder if I have the sheet. So with all our R vowels, our rhotic vowels, as you identified them. Sorry. Okay, we have our R sounds, right? That's R, like, how are you? Air, like, in the air tonight. Just like stronger, or her. Ear, sorry about the glare.
That's okay, I can see.
And then the R, which is like not a rhotic vowel. So actually, this we're actually doing this for this. Ear. Ear. Same with ire. So if we're going to say fire, it's not fire, it's fire. Do you hear that
Yeah.
So fire becomes a 2-syllable word, like the word fire. It's hard to think of fire as a 2-syllable word because it looks like 1 syllable. But think of the word buyer or hire. I had to hire someone. It's 2 syllables. It's higher than lower. That's 2 syllables as well. So those ers, once you know how to do the R, now you can do ear, or, because or also has an in it. So all of these kind of rhotic vowels, most of them come back to this very simple schwa R sound. So let me hear fire.
Fire.
How would you normally say that? Fire? Fire?
Fire, I guess.
What about buyer? Let me hear buyer.
Buyer.
Nice.
But I guess normally I would say buyer.
Buyer. Now normally you're going to say buyer. And I want to show you another 2-syllable thing that seems like 1 syllable. Flower. If you think of like flowers versus like flour, the powdery stuff, but they're both 2 syllables, right? Flower. So you were going to kind of realize that a whole bunch of words that you thought were 1 syllable are 2. Towel is 2 syllables, right? How many syllables is owl? You think of owl as being 1 syllable.
Because it's 3 letters, right?
But it's owl. It has a dark L at the end. So that dark L is its own syllable. So we have this all over the place in English where we have L's are syllables, towel. R's are syllables, tower. N's are syllables, Manhattan. or important, like that. So those ends can be syllables on their own without vowels. So that's a big thing of English that French wouldn't do and German wouldn't do, is we stretch things into full syllables so that we can like detect them and make them, right? Towel, tower, fire. So now that you know how to do you should really be able to do all those other because those are just plus something else, right? So if or is really familiar, is that because you're used to, do you have a very common word with the or sound in it?
I don't know.
If it's easier,
I honestly
then
don't know.
yeah. Piggyback off of that one though. If it's easier for you to do the or ones first, start your practice with ors, because then you start with some success and then you get to the more difficult ones as you go.
Yeah, but like either way, I'm not worried about it. I'm just commenting on where I'm gonna have to spend more time.
Definitely. I think you'll be able to overcome it. You're able to take on the feedback really quickly. So now with just a few moments that we're gonna have left, I want to check in on the TH sound.
Okay.
Is voice TH easier for you than voiceless TH, or do you think of them as different?
I didn't notice a massive difference.
It's okay. The difference is, it's like the difference between S and Z. So that we have.
Yeah, you explained that to me.
But they're like the same place of articulation.
Yeah, because I was paying attention to like the place of articulation. So I think the challenge is with the challenge is more with the place of articulation than necessarily knowing if it's voiced or voiceless.
Because they're the same. The TH, both of them are the same in the same place and manner. And then the voicing is the only thing that makes them contrast. Actually, I should explain, in English at least, we have these pairs of sounds where they're in the same place and manner of articulation, but the only difference is voicing. So like P and B is like that, right? But it's the same. We just have the voice. Same with t, d, d. And that's the same with s, z, g, and k and g. So we have these pairs, and the only difference is voicing. So that's why it's difficult for English as a second language speakers, because they can usually grab one of the pair and then there's not a differentiation because of the rules from your native language. So not a big surprise. Those rules kind of set up the structure of your brain forevermore. And now that's kind of the filter. It's like glasses that you can't take off, right? It's like the filter. So we just have to kind of be aware of that. Oh, your system wants to devoice at the end, or your system wants to do a wave instead of an R because of all the experience you've had with those rhotic vowels so far. So what do you think you're going to work on for the next week? What do you think you want to, what do you want me to check on next week? What you're working on?
So I think the ER, AR, OR pairs that we did, they went pretty well.
That would be a good one to practice. Here, I'll add a comment on the Google Doc.
I like the sentences that we did. That was fun.
That makes it's like so much more of a workload, right?
Yeah. If you give me more sentences to do, and then we'll see if that's so.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is really a proper. I mean, I can always go back to the minimal pairs if I need to. But if you give me sentences of things that you think would be challenging, then I think that'll be a good exercise for me to do.
Absolutely. I'm writing some now, and I'll say them as I'm writing them, and you can like practice them with me. So I'm in this section on the Google Doc if you find me. And the sentences don't have to make sense. They don't even have to be grammatically. I mean, try, just because it's better practice.
Yeah.
But it doesn't need to be Shakespeare. So I'm just taking the words and smushing them together. I heard he hurt himself. And in my accent, I would kill the H on he, right? I heard he hurt himself. So I'm killing the H on he and himself. I'll just put
you're saying he hurt himself.
Yeah. I heard he hurt himself.
Like
listen to hurt himself. I'm connecting that with a D and I'm killing the H. Hurt himself. So I'll write that down. Hurt himself like that. Hurt himself.
Bit
always
like
kill the E, or we kill the H on he and him when we're connecting it with another word. Like,
People
oh, I
in the
took him.
there's like accents in the southeast of England that do that too.
Oh, yes, absolutely. They'll say, oh God, I can't. Me head. It does me head in instead of does my head in, right? Pert. So I just say like the pert cat heard. It doesn't have to be Shakespeare. It doesn't have to be great. My heart was hard, or you could say hardened if you wanted to make like the sentence make more sense. Oops, it's not.
And you're doing a good job at putting a bunch of different R's in, so that's good.
The part was playing a big part. So sometimes you do need to put other words in just so that the sentence is more. But that's how I do it. And then you can change one thing. You could,
and I could make up my own as well if I wanted to.
Make it into a question like, oh, I heard he hurt himself. Is that true? Or the amount of curds was Kurt. Like all you do is like change the up at the end and then it turns into a question if you wanted to.
Yeah. The
pert cat purred. The pert cat purred? Stuff like that. What about this last section? Sport was spored. That doesn't make any sense at all, but court was cord. Or you could say corded off. Like corded or corded off. Like
corded, yeah. Like a police cordon.
Exactly. Like cordoned off. And that makes the word even more difficult. The port was poured over. When you pour over things, you're like looking closely, right? So that's that pour. It's like pours on your skin kind of versus like pouring. So it's good to practice all the types of, parts of speech and flipping them around, making them into questions and stuff. So this is one suggestion, and you can record yourself and listen to yourself and really get like because you know what? You can't listen to yourself as you're speaking. It's not possible to simultaneously so you need to record and then listen back. Yeah.
Because I feel like if you do the minimum pairs, it's really obvious because as you're reading down the row, you're realizing what your muscles are doing, right? That was my concern with saying about I'm just going to do the sentences because then I'm going to lose that. So I'm going to have to record myself. I actually I recorded a podcast like internal at work.
Cool.
We had I recorded a podcast and I had to listen back to myself, and I don't really like listening to myself, but I had to tell them where to like insert links and stuff. And so
that's common.
You just sound very different from what you think you sound like.
Totally. There's a lot of filtering going on when we hear ourselves. It's through our face meat and through our skull and through our own like perception of our own kind of language. So the recording is like data. It's a data collection. It's not an assessment of your worth as a human being, just to remind you. Because some people beat themselves up about how they sound. Oh, I sound terrible. I'm never speaking English again. And that's not what we want to hear.
I don't want that.
No, we don't want that. So I think your ideas of what to work on and how you kind of notice which ones are harder, you have a sense of what's going to work for you. So keep doing what you're doing because that's working. Do you need any tips or advice for, like, do you have a way of putting practice into your schedule? Do you need that type of coaching? Prompting
right now, because I'm really enjoying this, I will just make time for it.
Yeah. I hope that will be the case.
It's like work's been super busy, and I've just been like, yesterday I was doing it at 10 p.m. at night before bed, but that helps because it helps you remember because it's the last thing you do in a day.
That's what I was going to say, but I don't need to. Pre-bed practice is good for your long-term memory.
I'm also doing Spanish at the same time because I'm trying to learn like a bit of Spanish for when I go to Spain in May. Yeah, I'm going in May.
That's so cool. Spain Spanish, it has that TH thing that makes it a little bit
additional TH practice.
That one's tough. Spain is like the only language aside from English that uses TH, but it's not in the TH place, so it's not even helpful to know.
the more the problem that I have with it is I guess what the thing on the screen means based on my knowledge of French and like previous knowledge of Italian. So then I know, get this one, and then I don't learn what the vocabulary or the grammar is. I just I think this is a sentence.
Just like, ting, I knew that one already. Okay. Well, it's good to reinforce what you do know, even if you're not learning something entirely new. But yeah, let me know if you need, because some people need prompts like midweek. I text them or I WhatsApp them, hey, how's your such and such going? But it doesn't seem like you require that type of micromanaging. Wonderful. Yeah, do you have any questions, comments, or concerns before
you want me to do, you've put some vowel stuff in here that we didn't get to today.
Coming up that I put here?
Yeah.
That's just like coming up as in next thing to teach you about.
Okay.
I'll put like a coming up kind of just to load for myself to have stuff ready for you. Yeah, we'll do that together. Don't worry about that. We'll do that together. Consonants before vowels.
Okay.
The consonants are like the framework and the vowels are like the, the fluff in between. So the consonants are really important to have. It's like, that's like the frame of the house, and then the vowel is like the curtains and the like couches and stuff. So
we'll make the cozy.
Totally. Oh, I like that. That's great. Well, good work today. You're sounding great. Your R in work is sounding really nice. So just keep up whatever you're doing, because you're doing a great job. Yeah.
Thank you.
Give yourself one of those.
Oh.
And I have your episode uploaded to YouTube, but I want to like blur out confidential information on our screen, so it's not published yet, but I'll publish it as soon as I do that. So I'll send you a link.
All right. Yeah, I'll watch it.
Fabulous. And
I'll watch it and I'll try and not cringe at the sound of my own voice.
I know I have to watch myself, and I'm highly cringe. So
I feel like if you do it more, it gets easier.
It does. Yeah, I've had to just be like, oh well, that's what I look and sound like.
So do you want me to use the code again for next week? Like, you need to tell me if if this YouTube thing isn't providing the benefits that you think they should be providing to you. You just need to tell me, and I'll start paying for the lessons. Like, I don't mind. Okay. But yeah.
I'd love to figure it out and get the stuff up on there, because I think it's universally appealing for people to watch this process.
No, let's try a few, and if it's not, if it doesn't work out, if it's not working.
Nice R. It sounded really good. Yeah. Yeah. Either way, it's like you should have a podcast. So have you ever heard someone say that? Like, oh, you should have a podcast. You should have a newsletter. You should be a such and such or something like that. Like,
I should have a wait, sorry, what?
I just meant like, oh, you could have a podcast. Like, you have like a nice voice, you have a nice sounding speech, you have like an entertaining way of talking. Like, yeah.
Oh, that's very nice of you. I need to think about that, because I would quite like my my boyfriend said the weirdest thing. He was like, oh, you're doing these accent lessons now, and then you're gonna sound Canadian, and then you could totally go into TV and or radio and have your own show, and then we could do a podcast together where I'm like the loony lefty one and you're the right wing one, and it would get really popular.
Absolutely. Actually, no, people love this type of thing. I uploaded like a silly video on YouTube talking about potatoes in different accents, and it got like 1,000 views overnight.
Oh yeah, those where you display all the different accents.
Accent challenge or whatever.
Oh yeah, they get so popular.
Yeah, that's what I'm wanting. I want to go viral on YouTube so that people like, oh, look at this accent coach. I can actually get lessons. But I only have, like I said, I only have 500 subscribers right now. So 541. I shouldn't be ungrateful.
I mean, I subscribed.
Thank you. Yay.
But yeah, no. I should actually look into doing something like that, because I think I would really enjoy that. I just need to make the time for it.
Yeah. Sometimes it's like you don't know like about a topic that you'd actually be really good at. Someone told me on the phone I should be a voice actor because I was doing accents, and I'm like, no, I'm an accent teacher. That's my job. I don't need to be an actor.
I prefer that.
I prefer being the coach. I don't want to be in front of the camera. I'd rather be behind the scenes. But yeah. Yeah, plus we have good banter and we're able to just, if we were allowed to, we would probably just talk all day and it would be like amusing to anyone who felt like watching. So that's also why I was like, oh, this would be great for you too, because it's boring when it's just me. So when there's someone else to like demonstrate the accent stuff on who's actually learning at the same time, I think, you know.
Yeah, no, we've just got to see if it gives you the benefit that you want from it. And then if it does, then I'm very happy to continue. And otherwise, I'll just start paying for the lessons. Like it just depends on. Well,
Sure.
You need to get something out of this as well.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no, I am. I'm excited about working with you. It's fun.
Me too.
Sometimes you just like meet a student and you like, oh, I enjoy talking to this person. And it could be about whatever. It's like, it could be about accent stuff or, so that was just, that was the mood.
All right. I will book in again for next week. I'm actually taking some time off next week, so I will have lots of free time.
Awesome. Are you going to do anything fun?
No, it's more just to work's been super busy, so I'm just taking a bit of a break. I'm gonna try and spend a bunch of time in nature and just like refocus on what's important. I think I need a bit of a reset. So yeah.
Avoid burnout.
Yeah.
Big advocate
careful,
of
careful
rest.
thyself.
Yeah, avoid burnout and get some rest, get into that nature. I climbed Cypress on my bike on Sunday, so to the lookout. I should be honest, just to the lookout.
Oh, but that's far as well. I was driving up there last summer, I think, and I was going past so many cyclists. And I was just like
suffering, like.
But then I run up the Grouse Grind in under 45 minutes, and then I was recommending it to a friend of mine who was coming to stay in Vancouver, and he'd never done it. And then he calls me 1.5 hours in, and he goes, "Why did you tell me this was gonna take 45 minutes? I'm at the halfway point."
Yeah, I haven't done the Grouse Grind. Oh my gosh, it's hard enough for me to get up the Wreck Beach stairs, right? It's like, have you done those stairs? Those are brutal too.
Oh yeah, I love the beach. So when it gets warm, I'm there a lot, and yeah, because I run a lot, because I go up mountains a lot. I don't find those challenging, but yeah, my boyfriend doesn't like them either. I usually go ahead and then wait at the top.
Yeah, it's sometimes easier to just like go at your own pace, right?
Yeah, I find that. But then, like, if you made me cycle, it would be like I wouldn't get 5 meters on a bike.
Cycling is a lot easier than running because you're like using this tool of geometry to like make things easier. So when people find out that I do the intense cycling that I do with a chronic disease, and I'm just like, it's not actually that hard. But also I've been working on it for years, so you know, I wouldn't have tried to climb Cypress 2 years ago.
I guess it's what you enjoy and what you find comfortable, because like I sit on a bike and I'm like, feet hurt. I don't like what I'm wearing. I don't like the shoes. Like, and then I'm already demotivated, and I'm like, I don't know what gear to put the bike in. I feel like this is okay.
It's kind of annoying to have to bring a bike around everywhere too.
Yeah, it's just not for me. But
yeah, well, enjoy your time off, and I'll look forward to talking to you during your kind of time off next week. And have a fabulous week. Have a nice weekend.
Look forward to seeing you again.
Yeah, me too. Thank you.
Bye.
See you next week. Bye.